Hey y'all, it's your girl Kiana. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a reaction video to ladies that whine, not whine like crying, but they whine like they sip wine. And they talk and have conversations about different topics, but today's topic is going to be on why Black women are still single. To support the channel, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you can be notified when I upload new videos. And throughout this video, if you have any comments or if you have any thoughts about this topic, go ahead and leave them down in the comment area. I want to hear your thoughts. If you're not already following my Instagram is at IAM_KIIIKI. And let's go ahead and just jump right into it.
So ladies, a lot of women have emailed me, okay, and commented, and they want to know, why are so many Black women single?
So I think most Black women, or not even just Black women, just most women overall, singleness could be possibly out of fear. Women have difficulty trusting men. They have difficulty allowing a man to lead. And you have so many women that are fearing of being in a relationship and being cheated on and bringing baggage and not actually handling that baggage before they get into the relationship. And so all of that fear comes with insecurities and not being really emotional intelligent. A lot of women fear that they lack the skills of being, a good girlfriend. And some females actually don't even know how to be a woman. A lot of women, or a lot of modern women, a lot of the Black women just want to be so strong and so independent, and that's why they're still single.
The nerve of them.
And who
it's
says
not only
so
us.
many of them are single?
So I personally feel the reason why
I feel attacked.
Why are they attacking us?
are
What about other
single
races?
because they're not open.
Okay.
Most Black women that I know that are single, they have like this checklist, and they have to have this, and they have to have that, and they have to have this, and they have to have that. And there's nothing wrong with having standards.
You don't have a checklist?
No.
You don't have a checklist, Siobhan?
No.
Okay. Right now,
I mean,
forget about that.
we all have a checklist.
We all have a checklist.
But you know what?
It's environment.
So I also think that on your checklist, you also need to look and see like really what's really important, because like we have stuff on here that may or may not be as important.
I agree with Siobhan. Women having a checklist and wanting a man to check all the boxes that are unrealistic. The unrealistic expectations that a woman will want out of a relationship and how her man is supposed to be. Women will want a man that's 6 feet and a 6-figure earner and have a nice car, a nice job. Some women, they don't think about reality that most men do not make that much in these jobs. Most men work at a regular 9-to-5 job. They want some type of millionaire sometimes. Some women want men that have multiple houses, they have multiple cars, they have credit cards, they have money, they have assets, right? They are a man of stature. If they walk into a room, men know who they are and they naturally respect that man because of how he carries himself, right? So those are the things that women actually look for in a man, but also that being unrealistic, that every man you come across will be 6 feet and have a particular type of job to support the type of life that you want to live. And most women are high maintenance. Most women want a man that can take care of them, give them money, give the woman money, still have money for himself, and that way if she wants to work, she can have her money and keep her money and just spend his. And most men do not have that. Some women judge men by the type of jobs that they have, like, oh, because he's a truck driver, he don't make that much, and he's he just look dusty or something like that. Like, you're judging this man because of the type of job he has. But my dad was a truck driver and he was able to provide for the family and my mom not have to work. For the women who judge men by the type of job that they have, just because he doesn't own his own business, or he doesn't have multiple business, or he's not the CEO of a company, like, it's just unrealistic. Those type of men wouldn't even be attracted to the women that are still single with those type of standards, because those women are going to be combative. Most women like that are going to argue with a man. Most women like that are actually going to sit there and want to have some type of control in the relationship. And a high value man that can provide for you and change your life for the better, whether it's financially or whether he's able to change your mindset. Women like that are not cooperative enough to understand and allow a man like that to lead, which goes back to modern women do not want a man to lead the relationship. They'd rather take control of the relationship or have some type of control. And most high value men do not relinquish that control to a woman, because men don't want a woman to steer them down into the wrong path. Unless the woman can take the driver's seat while the man can sit in the passenger seat and he allows her to drive while he sleeps, then that's a different story. In the relationship, if a woman can take on some of the load that a man always has to carry, then she's of value, right? It's not just a woman being there particularly to have his kids and everything, but men don't really mind a woman just being there to take care of his children, take care of the household, take care of him, be his helpmate. Because if most men wanted to share a role with a woman and her be masculine and work and everything, because I think women working is a little bit masculine. You can be your boss chick or whatever, but that's you taking some type of control and having control over your life. That's fine, you can do that. But for the men that want a feminine woman and to just be a woman and not have rough hands and not being tired and freaking frustrated that her feet are hurting and her feet are crusty because she's been standing on them for 8 hours a day. It's the fact that men want a woman. And if they really wanted to be with somebody that was masculine and share the same roles, they might as well just be by themselves. Ergo, why women are single.
And that's just my honest opinion. Yes, I have a standard of what kind of man I would want. No, would I want a man that beats me? Hell no.
Right, that's a standard.
So,
that's a requirement.
But I also feel like we're not open either. Like, we have these high standards. Like, we can only date a man that can do all of these things. And you may meet a man that may not have all of them, but may have half of those qualities. That's where I'm coming from. That's how I personally feel. And I see a lot of my friends that are single, and that's the reason why. And they're also comparing themselves to other people's relationships and looking at another man, how they treat their woman and things like that. And me personally, you don't really know what goes on in their relationship anyway.
Of course, but is that a black woman thing or is that just a woman thing?
I don't think it has to be a black woman thing, but it's a woman thing in general.
Or people thing or humanity thing.
Honestly, because I communicate with a lot of black women, I think that's more of a problem with black women being single, because they are not open to change. They're not open to some things, not being what they want. When you're necessarily being picky with choosing a man, if you want a man that can check off all the boxes on your list, then it's like you might as well just build your own man. But that's not realistic. That's in a movie, that's in a computer game, that's not in real life. It's not reality of how relationships would be. It's not reality of how a woman can have all these items and her standards on a list for a man to check off all those boxes, because most women in other cultures don't have that problem of having a list. They see a man, have to accept that man for who he is, what he does, what type of job he has. Women in our community, in the black community, feel so entitled to, well, I can have any man I want. Okay, you can have any man you want, but line up 50 men, and out of all those men, how many men actually own their own business and are 6 feet and over and not, drowning in debt and actually doing super well for themselves.
Like what we do is compare, right? Like that's what social media does for you.
Social media is the killer of relationships. That's the killer. That is the killer of relationships. That's the killer of people's lives. Like nowadays, like you really have to slow down from social media because you excuse my French, you'll be having yourself fucked up. You will.
Okay, pausing that one more time. So she brought up that's what women do. They compare. Women compare, and the problem with women comparing is you will have a woman compare her man to another woman's man and then finding the wrong things. Like she doesn't appreciate the man that she has for what he does and what he does have, the attributes that he has as a man. And that's the problem that I see a lot with women comparing her man to the next woman's man. You don't know the type of dynamic of the relationship that they have. And social media is a problem with that. You have all these couple goals and modern women seeing, I want to be just like them. I want to be like Gucci Mane and Keisha Kayor, or they want to be like Gabrielle Union and D Wade. You do not know the type of relationship that they have, and in those different type of relationships, those are two different type of relationships actually. For example, Gabrielle Union and D Wade. Possibly Gabrielle Union is the one that's controlling that relationship. So she's like a feminist in that. And then the man just goes along with it. That's not really traditional, right? But then you have Keisha Kayor and Gucci Mane. Keisha Kayor, she holds her man down. She uplifts him. She supports him. She is feminine to the core, but she does come from a family that taught her that. She comes from a culture that taught her to be that way. She's Jamaican, and you can see the difference in American Black women rather than Jamaican. At the end of the day, you have the different cultures that are brought up differently, and the problem is with Black women, we're brought up to be so independent and so I don't need a man that it destroys our relationships. It destroys our mindset. And that's why we have to change that mindset to be able to teach our children, raise our daughters up to support our men. If that's the way a woman wants to go, if they want to be in the traditional family and have a traditional marriage, and the man provides and protects while the woman stays home and takes care of the house.
I think I kind of agree with what you just said to an extent. It's not a Black woman thing. I think it's a woman thing. I think the difference when it comes to Black women, because we're Black women, we can speak to Black women.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. That's where the difference comes in. I think when it becomes a Black woman thing, it could be because most Black women are not open to dating outside of their race.
100%.
That is, I think, the reason why.
But why do they have to date outside?
I think a preference is a preference.
No. I'm not disagreeing with it. I think that is a large portion of it. And I'm gonna say, I might get a lot of backlash from this from some. When you look at probably the percentages, right, of available Black men with the standards of some women might be looking for, Black women might be looking for.
Yeah.
That percentage might not be that large for the amount of Black women that are available.
Correct.
The ratio is off. That the ratio of the amount and number or percentage, whatever you want to call it, of Black women that are single versus the ratio or percentage of Black men
that are available, meet your expectations and your check boxes.
That ratio does not match.
Sure, but there's a deeper issue behind that, right? Which I don't think is part of ladies that whine, but I do agree. Listen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't, like, there's not still a certain standard that you have. So
I think that things change generationally too, because like before our generation, like when we were in college, like that is the best place where you're going to meet like these men who we are all there. It's equal. It's the same ratio, and we date in college, but we don't like end up with these guys. Like,
there's not the same ratio of black women to black men in college. Like, there's not.
I think it's almost the same as how it is right now.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
Well,
there's way more black women
I
in
went
college.
to HBCU, so we had
And it's still more women, but it's still more women than it is men.
No, we was
In college, yes,
there's a lot of men.
There's still a lot of men.
There are a lot of black men, but they weren't looking for the same things. It's like when we were in college, if you think about like either the guys you dated or the guys you messed around with, you weren't really thinking of like that long term to where we are now.
But
Like
we weren't, but the generation before us, like they were.
They were thinking like, you know what? I'm gonna meet me a man in college. I'm gonna marry him.
We're
We're gonna have kids.
I think that's us.
It
a lot of
should've
my
been
friends,
us.
no, but a lot of my
are,
friends, they met their man in college and got married.
Yeah.
Like that's just us. I'm saying a lot of people in our age group still did that. They still met their man, whether it was a white institution or an HBCU.
Yeah.
They met their man in college and they married them.
Well,
Sorry.
do you think location makes a difference?
Absolutely.
Because I know
yes.
people in the
South,
South,
they
they
get
get
married.
But that's what I mean about us
Like
versus,
married,
right? So like we wanted to live a certain way. We wanted to do some things. We didn't necessarily want to get married at 23.
They're kind of all over the place, but basically the argument that they're having right now is women of color not having a large pool of men to want to marry, like how when they were in college. What the woman in the red floral dress is really saying, it really boils down to the women of their age and that age group. They were not looking to go to college, find a man, get married. That was not their objective, their goal. But with the other cultures, they went to school, got a man, got married. They might have obtained their degree, they might not have. Who knows? But at the end of the day, they came out with a man, right? Their generation was coming out of the baby boomers, and their generation was in a feminist mindset. So I can go to college, graduate at about 24, 25-ish with my master's degree, become a woman that is so independent that I don't need a man, because my mama told me that the men that she had took from her and they hurt her, they cheated on her, because the women that they had before, they didn't want to be like grandma, or they didn't want to be like big mama and having to stay home with the kids and not having her own money, not being able to travel when she wanted to, not being able to get up and party when she wanted to. So that's really where they stemmed from in being single. And kind of like, if you don't grasp onto a man between a certain age group, between your 20s heading to 35, in between that time, it's going to be more difficult as you grow older as a woman, because now you're not really able to bear children as easily. And then your mindset. Men want a woman that can cooperate. Those women already have the mindset of, I own myself, nobody owns me. I'm going to be the boss chick and I'm going to be in control of myself. That's how they work, and that's why they're saying, well, that's not a conversation for the ladies that whine. But you have to understand that that is the conversation for the ladies that whine, because it doesn't look like those women are in relationships. They are still trying to find men amongst their list that are going to accept them in who they are already, because they're not one of those that can kind of be, tweaked a little bit. And I'm not saying like for a man to control how that woman is, but how a woman is already set in her ways at that age, at being in between 30 and 40 and on forward. They're already set in their ways that a man cannot come in and try to correct the certain things that are negative about her, that won't help her, that will hurt her in the end.
Right? So, and that's what like that's what that is. When you meet your man in college.
I mean, I could have been married. I lived in the South. I finished college in the South, and I could have been married with probably
Of
two
course.
kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I chose to live a different lifestyle, moving to New York. Dating in New York, I was single for many years. It was much harder to date here because it was not, for me, the
It's
quality
not
of
the
life.
same.
Dating in New York was very
It was-
easy.
See,
Very
experience
different.
for
You
your
know what I'm saying?
experience.
At the
Dating,
time.
but actually,
Dating
But this is
was
also
not the
10 years
same.
ago.
It's also not the same.
Yeah. it was
I had a
crazy.
hard time dating in New York as far as seriously dating. I could date in New York.
dating and seriously
I
dating
could-
is two
I was-
different things.
I was going on dates every night.
Yeah.
That's different than dating and meeting some quality man that I want to take to the next step.
Right.
That was difficult living in a big city like New York because probably the guys that I was interested in was not ready to settle down. They had too many women, too many options, which I
Yeah.
understand. And that goes back to the ratio. I think the ratio of black women who are available to the ratio of let's just say I'm gonna call it black men because I know personally. Me personally, I know I always want to end up with a black man. I've never dated outside of my race. I've never had the want to date outside of my race. That's me personally. Just me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of black women like that. They
I
want
just
to have
think
a
that
black
when you find
family, a
somebody,
black
if they
family.
black, Puerto Rican, or they white, whatever, they Russian, Asian, if they love you,
Absolutely, absolutely.
just be with them.
Okay, so speaking about the ratio that there are not as many men to women, we were not created to have one man to one woman. We were really created for a man to have multiple women, bear more children, for a civilization. That's why the ratio is more women to men. And it comes with society and making women feel entitled to saying, okay, you're my man, I own you because you are mine, right? And a woman being owned by her man because she is his. But the disconnect comes with women thinking that the man belongs to them, when if that was so true, it would be equal ratio between a man and a woman. It would be every one man to one woman, right? But it's not like that for a reason. And that's why most women wouldn't want to date a man that has options and he's not ready to settle down, because men don't have it in their nature. It's not in their nature to settle down. It's not in their nature to just have one woman. They exercise their options for a reason. Men are made to give if they have it to give. And I'm not talking about just money. It's a lifestyle. If that man can afford a lifestyle to have more than one woman, then what's the problem with that? Being in a relationship with a man, you do not own that man though. And that's what women do not understand. We do not own men. Not saying that a man owns us, but that's the whole reason for the difference in being a Jezebel and promiscuous rather than being virtuous. A woman who is virtuous has only one man because she's not giving it up to everybody.
Absolutely.
I think it's like
I could've
everyone
met
loves
someone-
our men. Our men are like what everyone wants.
Oh yeah,
Everybody
everyone wants a black man.
Everybody wants a black man.
It's a really deep
I mean, I was
subject
like,
to
I'm
start
not gonna go
with,
there
actually.
because
I'm not gonna say
I'm
that,
uncomfortable.
But it's uncomfortable. There's many different races. who-
So I'm gonna skip ahead because they're talking a lot right here, like over each other, and I haven't watched the video, but I'm just trying to see if there are any more points that they hit on. But I saw this video come up and I thought about you guys and I wanted to give my comments on them.
I've seen it. I've seen most men, if you meet them and they've grown up with a two-parent household, they respect the two-parent household, they respect marriage, they respect commitment. That's what they see, that's what they know, that's what they're gonna want to emulate. When you date guys who come from just a mother, don't know who their father is, drug addicted parents and stuff, there's a difference. Trust me, I've dated them all, so I can tell you. Yes, there's a difference.
I just don't think you can generalize it like that.
I'm just gonna say my opinion. I think
very
that
personal.
a guy that you meet that possibly that's from down south and grew up in a two-parent home and grew up with parents that's married, they value relationships different. They value women different. That's just my honest opinion. That's my opinion.
I think like once men get a professional job too, they want that wife. Like it's a part of like that whole like corporate culture too. And I think a man, when they settle down, they are ready to settle down. It's not about your family structure. It's like, I'm ready for this wife, I'm ready for this life, and they commit to it.
Honestly, I agree with Siobhan a lot, because a man who has grown up in a two-parent household has the mindset and values marriage a little differently. Those type of men also, though, may exercise their options. But getting back to the majority of men who wants to be committed to one woman, that just wants to be a husband and provide for his family,
or they meet that person that they can't imagine not being without, and they're like, this is it. So I don't think it has anything to do with the background. It's like where you are in life, because you could be a hoe when you're in college, you could be a hoe right out of college, but then you're like, I'm 30, I have this job, and I'm ready for this life, and you commit to settling.
When they know,
not
they
settling,
know,
but you
right?
settling down.
I think that statement is a broad stroke. I think that a lot of times when you meet a man and he's ready, it's literally timing and mindset, right? So you can meet someone that, like you said, has been running the streets and do whatever, but they meet someone, not just the person, but also the timing when they meet the person, and everything clicks, everything changes, the trajectory changes, because they're like, oh well, maybe I'm ready to do this, or maybe they saw someone that inspired them, like, if I want this person right here, I'm going to change my outlook, I'm going to change.
And I see how much better his life is now that he has this partner.
He's enriched by this partner.
And
so I think
things
that's
happen. No, I agree. And I think that what you're saying, there is some truth to that, right? So when you grow up a certain way, there is some tendency to emulate that thing.
Correct.
So if you see a family structure, you want that family structure. If you see a different family structure, you might gravitate towards that family structure.
Or you might not
well.
even know how to love like that, because you haven't been raised to see that.
Right. But you also have to want to do that, right?
Exactly.
It's not in a man's nature to want to settle down, really, right? It's in a man's nature to get as many women as they can, because they are naturally ambitious. They are naturally hunters. They will go after women that they want. They will go after any woman or any house or any car or any job that they want to further their masculinity, because that's their ego has to be fed. And that's where women kind of construe the idea of how men operate. The fact that women live all things in commitment and live all things in wanting to be married and settle down, because that's what we do naturally. We're made to have a family, right? But men, they will go out and have their time where they soil their royal oats, and then they will possibly find a woman that they are mature enough to understand, okay, you know what? I may not want to have other women anymore, so I'm going to settle down and further my legacy. But it's in their nature, so it's not them necessarily being a hoe. It's not necessarily a man being a hoe. It's a man coming into his manhood. It's a man coming into his own. And that's the difference between a man and a woman doing those things. A man can have intercourse with multiple women and not be considered a hoe. But for a woman to be with more than one man, for lack of better words, that's not ladylike. It's not in our nature to be with more than one man at the same time, or really be with more than one man anyways, because we are supposed to keep ourselves closed in. We're supposed to, keep that chastity belt on until we get married. Okay, so I'm going to stop that video right there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment area, if you have any thoughts about this video, the topic. Yeah, so go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it so you can be notified when I upload new videos and to see more videos from me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.